Hello, it is Nancy Juetten, and today is December 2nd, 2020, and it is 10 o'clock straight up, and I have been chomping at the bit all morning getting ready for today's live podcast Dream Guest virtual workshop. I promise you that this is going to be the best investment of your time and effort and attention all week, because I intend to drop lots and lots of value so that you can take your place as a podcast dream guest and welcome all the clients, connections, collaborations, cash, and that beautiful music of ka-ching that you desire in your shopping cart or your internet front door or wherever it is that you do business. If you are joining me live, why don't you type in a note and say good morning, hello, share what it is that you most want to learn while we're live today. And I look forward to seeing what you have to share. I've got my phone open here so I can see what anyone is saying. Oh, I see that David Newman is here. Awesome, awesome. Love that. I'm going to turn this off. My goodness. Hey, David, thank you so much for being the media one-sheet makeover model the other day on Monday. There were, 80 or 85 views of that video where we took your spectacular media one sheet and made it shine even brighter with the powerful suggestions that I made. And I know you're such a brilliant action taker. I know that this new media one sheet is going to fuel some powerful new conversations for you, because you're already a top 5 podcaster in management and marketing on iTunes. And just imagine the kinds of conversations you're going to start with other top 5 podcasters in their genre so that you can create those relationships there. So David, thank you so much for your lovely comments. I love that. Love that. We've got David here. We've got someone chiming in from New York, and I know more people will be joining us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So what are we talking about today? And is this for you? That's the big question. This call is for you if taking control over your own economic upside is your highest priority, regardless of what's going on in the world right now. This is for you if given the choice between wringing your hands and rolling up your sleeves, there is no decision there. And this is for you if making excuses about your lot in life is the last thing on your mind, because you know that the power to create your own opportunities is within your own hands, within your own voice, within your own intention. And when I am complete with the training that I'm dropping for you today, you're going to feel that at a level of enthusiasm that is hopefully at a level 10 or greater, so that you can't even stop yourself from broadcasting your brilliance in all the ways that you actually have control over, no matter what's going on in the world today. So what are you going to learn today? I'm going to teach you how to take advantage of podcast audiences and hosts that are eager to hear from experts just like you. I'm going to share examples and the value of being media ready, media savvy, and on message so that you can leapfrog over other people with much bigger names simply because you are well prepared and ready to rock. I'm going to share with you how you can quickly meet podcast hosts that are looking for guests like you so you can start taking action today. I'm also going to share one of my favorite ninja strategies, which is the number one thing that happens that has the greatest possible value, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the podcast. And of course, if you are eager to link arms with me and a number of other amazing action takers, I will have an invitation to help you broadcast your brilliance and get started right away, so your brand new shiny year will also be singing the beautiful music of ka-ching as you bring in products, as you bring in clients who can't wait to invest in your products, programs, and services. Wouldn't it be great if you had a whole bunch of people just clamoring to do business with you as soon as possible? Wouldn't that be great? Well, that's what we're talking about today. I am going to give you the very best that I have to offer so that you can attract all the opportunities that you desire and not wait a moment longer. So just a little bit of background. Over the last 3 years, I was actually invited to speak on live and virtual stages, and there were almost 100 of them. And it was just a wonderful way for me to raise my voice, make my impact, and create a lot of revenue rush. And maybe you're like me, that we're right around March 1st of 2020, everything shut down, and it was beyond our control. And there were an awful lot of speakers that were sitting on their hands, wringing their hands, figuring out what the heck they're going to do to make their way in the world until this blows over. Some people said, oh, it'll be over in a few weeks. It'll be over in a few weeks. Well, it's already December. It's been quite a few months. And while the vaccine for COVID-19 is coming soon, and there are 3 of them and maybe more, it could be another 6 months or so before the world is vaccinated. And that means that virtual doing business is going to be the norm for a lot of us. So we can either wring our hands or we can roll up our sleeves. And as I've already said, I'm the kind of gal that just rolls up her sleeves and gets things done because I am not going to let anyone stand in my way. You may have heard me tell this story before, but my dad was an actor in Hollywood. And when we were kids growing up and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, if he didn't go to work on TV, radio, or film or television, we clipped coupons and hoped for the best at the grocery store. He couldn't go to work until someone gave him permission. And I remember thinking as a very young kid, that sucks. I want to be able to make money and make my way regardless of whether or not someone's going to give me permission. And so one of my really important pillars that I want to share with you now that I have been practicing and that you can practice as well is don't wait for permission to raise your voice and make your impact. Speak to your own Facebook community. Invite opportunities to speak to the masterminds and Facebook communities of your favorite colleagues. And then, of course, take advantage of the million podcasts out there that have hosts looking for guests just like you. If you work all 3 legs of that stool, I promise you, you will raise your voice, you will make your impact, and you can ping pong those listeners into your world to become fans, followers, advocates, champions, clients, and so much more. And given what we're facing in this virtual world, why would you not step up and take advantage of all 3 of those opportunities? So what did I do starting March 1st? If I'm not going to speak on a live stage, I'm going to get myself booked on podcasts right and left. And here we are, December of 2020. And since March, I have booked myself on 40 or more podcasts, broadcasts, or other virtual stages under my own power. And look at me now. I've created a revenue rush for all my products, programs, and services. I lead this amazing Facebook community full of movers and shakers. And you can do this too. And knowing that you can, why would you not proceed? That's something to think about. So I know that what I'm going to be teaching you today is going to make a huge impact on what actions you next take. And so why don't we just get started right away? Are you ready to be that podcast dream guest the top host can't wait to book? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. First off, podcasting. Why do we care? Why does it matter? Well, very recently, I took a study of it, and there are actually over 1 million podcasts that are led by hosts looking for guests just like us. Now, not all podcasts are right for you, and that's the beauty, because if you know who your ideal client is and the problem that you solve, you can narrow your focus to the top 100 or the top 50 or the top 10 best podcasts in your niche audience. You can start educating yourself, listening to those shows, benefiting from the commentary, and then ask yourself, what could I add to that conversation as a podcast guest that would cover something that hasn't been covered before, that allows you to be brilliant in your own distinct way and to propel those listeners to come back into your world? Podcast listeners, by and large, are people that are action-taking, results-making people who want to learn more to earn more. They have more discretionary income, and they tend to be very loyal to their favorite shows. And so what if you were speaking on a show that had an embedded audience of thousands and thousands of listeners who were interested in similar work that you do, that when you created that intimacy and that conversation with the host and that connection with the audience, that the people who were listening, they almost feel like there was a subtle endorsement from the host to your expertise, so that when you were asked, tell us, Bob, where can our listeners go to learn more about you? You're able to share a podcast ping pong strategy of bringing them into your world. And all of a sudden, those listeners become your fans, your followers, your new enrollment conversations, your new joint venture partnerships, and your new clients. This is so exciting. And so podcast listeners tend to be loyal to their favorite hosts. They tend to make more money. They care about learning new things and taking action on what they learn. And that means that they're likely going to want to do more business with you. So given that COVID-19 is not in our rearview mirror, more and more people are starting their podcasts, which means that there are highly seasoned podcasts to listen to, and there are lots of brand new podcasts to listen to, and there's everything in between. And so what I'm going to talk to you about now is what I call my proven 6P system to help you make the most of podcast guesting. And I'll just breeze through these P's for you because, heck, I'm a fan of alliteration. The first step is to prepare. If you know you want to speak up on these podcasts and be seen, heard, and celebrated for your expertise, you don't hang on your shingle and say, I want to be on your podcast. You need to prepare yourself and your message so that a podcast host will consider you irresistible. That means that you want to position your expertise as one that can add value to the podcast. You want to have podcast discussion topics that are relevant and congruent and of service to the podcast you want to speak on. You want to have some powerful proof around why you are a brilliant speaker or an expert who can talk about this in an uncommon manner that will be meaningful to everyone involved. And you want to be able to bring people back into your world by giving them a way to connect with you. And so you're going to prepare, you're going to position yourself. And then when you get clear about what all that means you want to start prioritizing where are the best shows for you to share your input. And then you want to selectively pitch properly so that you can make a winning approach that will turn the head of a decision maker. And then when you're fortunate enough to be invited onto the show, that's when you want to ping pong people back into your world, because the most important P in the whole system is to profit from your showing up in this way. And if I can add the most important P to the system, that is the underpinning of all of it, is to make all of this a well-formed habit that you practice every single day as a priority. Because if you are a speaker, you want to speak more. And if you want to speak more, what is the answer? You speak more. You speak to your own community in a live show once a week, like I do bio makeovers on Mondays and more. You get invited to speak on other people's shows, and you get invited to be on podcasts. If you want to speak more, speak more. And if you are someone who is not super savvy about joint venture partnerships, chat bots, Facebook advertising dashboards, and your eyes are glazing over, if speaking is your best possible impact, why not just keep it simple and speak more? And so that brings me to Jack Canfield, who is one of my favorite mentors of all time. And I'll never forget the day that I met him in January of 2005, when I paid my $20 to purchase his Success Principles book. And one of my favorite lessons from the Success Principles book is what he calls the Rule of Five. And this is what Jack Canfield and his Mark Victor Hansen, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, did. They knew that their book could be a bestseller if it would just get in the hands of radio hosts and podcast hosts and people of influence. So every single day they practiced the Rule of Five. They got their book in the hands of a host. They sent out a press release. They did something powerful and productive to get their book in the hands of the right people. And what do you know? They became what do you call that? World's record holders for the most number of days on the bestseller list, because they were practicing the Rule of Five. And the Rule of Five is, even if you take 5 swipes of an axe at the biggest tree in the forest every single day, at one point or another, that tree is going to fall down. So if you want to be on all the top 100 podcasts that are absolutely right for your expertise, your message, your call to action, then make 5 pitches a day. Follow up with 5 pitches a day. Do 5 interviews a day. And get into the serious habit of speaking up for profit, because when you do that, what do you know? You get exactly what you ask for. If you dabble and don't do a whole lot of, if you dabble, I mean, let's just face it, when you dabble at anything, what typically happens is you might have a stroke of good fortune punctuated by a whole bunch of nothing. So how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you know you want to speak more, and being able to do it from your home office with your dog at your feet is practical and the way life is right now, why would you not do some more of that? So I want you to get in the habit of believing that speaking up is the best possible strategy. Podcast guesting and other kinds of virtual speaking is absolutely within your wheelhouse. And if you practice the rule of 5 and make this a well-formed habit, you're going to have all the opportunities that you like. And that will require that you have systems to manage all of that, because you know something, when you've got 40 podcasts on the calendar, you're not dabbling, you're taking yourself very seriously. You're going to be prepared for every opportunity, and you're going to show up like a pro at hello. And even if you are newer in your journey, you will leapfrog over other people less prepared and wow the host at hello. And that just sets the stage for really great things to come. So since this is a bit of a workshop, I did share with you ahead of time the Media One Sheet gift template and a short video explaining what a Media One Sheet is and why you need one. And I've also done a bio makeover live of David Newman's Speaker One Sheet just Monday that gives you some powerful, powerful examples around how you can make your Media One Sheet brilliant. So if you have not yet made those tools available to yourself, they are posted in the Units tab right here in this group. And I want you to download them. I want you to use them. And then if you are the overachiever that I expect that you are, I would love for you to post your Media One Sheet right below this video as we are proceeding. And when the call is over, I will absolutely circle back to see, hear, and celebrate your effort. And if I have suggestions to make it more brilliant and spectacular for client or opportunity attraction, you can count on that, because one of my philosophies here in this group is no drive-by postings. I find them so dissatisfying, and I don't want you to ever feel that when you're in this group. So there you have that. So what's the Media One Sheet is so important? It's an exercise you want to take yourself through, because it forces you to think through the value that you bring to a podcast, the topics about which you can speak about better than anyone else in your own brilliant way. It forces you to think about what makes you special, distinct, and preferred. And you only get 50 words or so to tell that story, which is a whole other matter. I mean, some people find it a whole lot easier to write a 50,000 word manuscript than they can write a 50-word bio. But getting to the meat of the matter and making that bio relevant to what you're here to do in the world, that's an important exercise. And as you're getting your Media One Sheet ready, you might even be thinking about what are the kinds of questions that you would most like to be asked during an interview that would logically guide a conversation to encourage listeners to want to take a journey forward in your direction. Because when you do that, what happens, this Media One Sheet, it's an exercise in clarity that actually helps boost your confidence and your resolve that you will be speaking up as soon as possible and as many times as possible right away. And I think that's just a brilliant place to start. Don't think you can be all things to all people. You have to think about the right shows for your expertise. And I like to talk about this idea of a Rolex timepiece. A Rolex timepiece is a luxury watch. And it's a watch for a very specific audience of people who have the income, the discretion, and the appreciation for luxury goods. You can't sell a Rolex watch to a migrant farm worker making a minimum wage. The message and the audience need to match. So as you think about your own business, the niche audience that you serve, how you serve them, you probably already know who your people are, and that makes it a whole lot easier for you to find shows that are going to be relevant for you to be speaking up your magic. And so I want you to have some quick success right away. So you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, there's a million shows. How am I possibly going to figure out where I belong and where I can speak up? And is it even possible that I could get on a big show? And what I would say, just like in real life, you have to walk before you run. And so would it surprise you to know that there are actually Facebook groups on Facebook that make it easy for hosts and guests to connect. It's true. And I like to call this picking the low-hanging fruit. If you pick the low-hanging fruit, you can create a magnificent podcast guesting publicity basket that will allow you to test out your message, get comfortable with the conversations that happen online when you're actually talking to a host, and learn how to master your sound bites and your call to action. And it takes a little time to get into the groove to learn how to do that. And so what if you could start today? And what do you know? You absolutely can. Because on Facebook, there's a group called Podcast Guest Collaboration that has 12,000 members, and the membership grows every day. It's free to join this group, and you can go to facebook.com/groups/podcast guest collaboration. And if someone's feeling like typing that into the chat to make it easy for people who are following along, I hope that you will. And then there's another one called Podcast Guest Connection, and that group has 9,000 members. And if you join these groups, and it's free to join, you can start observing how many hosts are saying, I'm looking for a self-help guru who can talk about navigating stress in the COVID-19. I'm looking for a weight loss expert who can talk about how to melt my muffin top in time for New Year's Day. I'm looking for someone who can do A, B, C, or D. And if your media one sheet is ready to go and you're ready to start sampling the power of podcast guesting, notice how other people are making their simple, concise, and friendly approaches, and then mirror them for yourself. You may find that by the end of the week, you have gotten yourself booked on a couple of podcasts, and that your media one sheet opened the door. And now you have to start getting serious about how you're going to ping pong those listeners back into your world to become leads, clients, connections, and cash for you. Isn't that intoxicating? I just get so excited about it. I'm just turning my head to look at some of the comments here. The one sheet is so important. It helped me be clear about my message. Thank you for the helpful template to do this. Oh, it's David says, dabblers lose, professionals get serious and stay in the game. Let's see. My people are conscious, committed couples that still love each other, but are having a hard time getting along with each other and want to bring the loving feeling back. Well, if that's your situation, here's a fun angle. You know, this staying in place can either make your marriage work or it can tear it apart. And I have heard that there are going to be more divorces filed in January. I know this for a fact because one of my dear friends is a divorce attorney, and she says that more people file for a divorce in January than any other month of the year. And I'm imagining there's going to be a huge dramatic shift in an upward direction from people who can't stand a moment longer being with the one they no longer love. So what I'm doing here for the one who's helping people bring back together is make your topic timely for what's going on in the world, and make it provocative and worth talking about now more than ever. Creating that relevance to what's going on in the world right now and putting your topic front and center is not only a way to get on a podcast, but it's a way to get showcased on the Today Show, Good Morning America, and so many other ways to be seen, heard, and celebrated. So being media ready for a podcast could be just the first step before you get to the Today Show, but you want to pick the low-hanging fruit and get your game on first before you go to the Today Show, because your local shows and your smaller shows are going to be far more forgiving if you forget your words or stumble here or there. You sure as heck don't want to do that when you're talking to Oprah. So now you have two amazing groups you can join today to help you get your podcast guesting game on. And that presupposes that you prepared properly with your media one sheet leading the way. And so I expect to be seeing quite a few of those media one sheets posted below. Be a superstar, be an overachiever. There may even be someone on this call who wants to have you as a guest on their program, or invite you to be a speaker for their mastermind, or invite you to be a joint venture partner for their upcoming launch. If you don't show up, well, you don't show up, and there are consequences. So what other things can you do? You can start thinking big right out of the box. And why would you not? Tomorrow is not a promise. You don't want to spend years toiling and away with the low-hanging fruit when there's even bigger games to play. So I challenge you, think big right out of the box. Believe and behave as if your expertise deserves a much wider audience. And then ask yourself, what are the top 100 podcasts in my niche audience? And what will it be like for me to be a guest on those shows? Here's another ninja strategy. Most of us are not the only people on earth that do what we do. Chances are that there is a big name competitor who you admire tremendously, who is a few steps ahead of their success as are you. Why not go to their website and look at their press page and find out if they have a Media One sheet where they can share the shows that they've already been on, and then start looking at those shows, listening to them through the filter of, do you have something to say or add to that conversation that's not been said before? Because then you can reach out to the host and say, I heard your talk with Bob Smith about ABC, and I noticed that this part of the conversation was left unsaid. I have a unique and distinct perspective about this particular aspect of that, and I would love to be a guest to have a provocative conversation and see where it leads. If you want to be on the big shows, decide. And that leads me to another big mantra. Every day I say to myself, my expertise deserves a much wider audience, and my business is worthy of sales beyond expectation. What if you took on those mantras as your own and showed up in life and business believing as if it was already happening? Because then you're not going to dabble and play with the low-hanging fruit for very long. You're going to go big as soon as possible. And given what we've all seen with COVID-19 and other things that have happened this year, we don't have time to waste. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. If you could go big and make a difference and change a whole lot more lives today by showing up in a big way, why not? Why would you want to languish small when you can make such a big darn difference? So now you're probably thinking to yourself, this sounds like fun, but gosh, I'm so busy. I don't know that I can take this on. Maybe I should hire this out. Maybe I should just hire someone to get me on podcasts. I want to see some hands. Is anybody asking that? Does anyone want to know? I'll just hire someone to do that for me, and I'll just keep my focus on doing my thing. I hear this all the time. Oh, I don't have time for that. I'm going to hire that out. Well, let me give you some truth here. You could invest $15,000 a year for a podcast booking agency to book you for shows. That's a lot of money. And if you are a 6 or a 7 or an 8-figure business owner who needs to focus on being a CEO of your leading business, it absolutely is the smart investment for you to consider, because they are set up to do that. And why not allow them to do that for you so you can show up and be brilliant and keep your focus on running your very successful enterprise? But if you have not yet reached the 6, 7, or 8-figure level, and you have more money, more time than money, and you are smart and you know how to build relationships, and you're eager to learn how to do all this sort of thing, you could invest that $15,000 into something that you can't easily learn, and then start rolling up your sleeves and getting on podcasts under your own power. Because I got myself on 40 of them just since March, under my own power, under my own keyboard, with my own enthusiasm and unique perspective leading the way. I know that you can do this too if you just get in shape. And I want you to try that on and see how it feels. You might also be thinking, oh, I don't want to do podcasts. I think I'd like to hire a Facebook ad agency to represent me and get me all kinds of leads that I can convert into my funnel that will become my info products, or my this or my that. Well, here's the thing about Facebook ads. If you're going to hire an agency, it could be thousands of dollars a month just to have the agency do what they do, not to mention the thousands of dollars that you have to put in ad spend to fund the campaign. And those are cold leads. When you're talking to a podcast host, it's a real conversation with a human being. Your personality comes forth. Sometimes you're on video like we are right now, and you're going, why, that's a nice looking gal. I want to have coffee with her. The intimacy that happens during a live conversation is so much warmer and so much more inviting than any Facebook ad you might see in your feed. And so that means that the likelihood of something happening faster is that much greater. And you know something? We don't all have to have millions and millions of clients to make our businesses wildly successful. If you've got 1,000 amazing clients that love and do business with you every day, you're golden. So dial it in and get excited about this. Now, what I've found is that being a human being and making a heartfelt approach to a podcast that I've actually listened to is incredibly powerful. And sometimes with a Facebook ad agency or a booking agency, they might be getting formulaic. They might be doing some spray and pray and hoping for the best and just trying to meet their numbers. But I take a very thoughtful approach. I find the top 10 shows that I want to be on. I listen to the shows while I'm riding the bike or walking the dog and improving my mind. And then if I feel that the show is a fit, I'll make a pitch and I'll let them know. I listened to episode number 165 with your interview with Cloris Kiley, and I got to say, this was my favorite takeaway. I actually have an idea about how I could continue this conversation, and here it is. Here's a little bit about me and how I can be of contribution to your show. I'll follow up with you first, and I'll follow up with you in a couple of days unless I hear from you first. That's one of my favorite lines from pitching. I'll follow up with you in a few days unless I hear from you first. And you know what? Sometimes days later, I go, oh my gosh, I loved your pitch. I actually want to have you on the show. When can we book it? Awesome. And I'll tell you something, the fine art of follow-up, there is a fine art to it. I wish there was a textbook about it. But sometimes you want to be on a show, you think you've done everything right, and there's crickets. And then you go to that place of, gosh, was I too enthusiastic? What, did I go over the top? Did I make a mistake? Did something crazy happen? And you start to go inward and wondering, maybe you're not up for this or not. And that's exactly when you need to find the courage to reach out to someone and say, if you're not stuck under heavy furniture, I'd love to chat about being on your podcast. Because just by being clever and amusing and a human being, someone's going to get that message and say, oh my gosh, that is so adorable. What kind of message is this gal sending? And you know what? You just might get someone saying, oh my gosh, this actually got lost in my feed. I'm so glad you followed up. You're exactly the guest I want. When can we book it? Anything you want requires the fine art of follow-up, and that whether that's an enrollment conversation with someone to join your premium program or a powerful conversation that can be heard by thousands on a podcast. If you want it enough, you have to want it enough to follow up. And so that's that. So when you're on a podcast, invariably, someone is going to say to you, the host, they'll say, tell me, Bob, what is it that our audience can do to get in close contact with you after hearing this wonderful conversation? And this is where a lot of podcast guests make a lot of mistakes. Maybe you've done this yourself. Well, you know, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can visit my website. You can give me a call. You can send me a smoke signal. I'm available. That's like 16 calls to action. And you know what happens when you do that in anything that you do? Nothing. Nothing happens when you give them multiple calls to action. I want you to have singular focus about your call to action when you're invited to give one during a podcast. It could be something like, the best way to get in touch with me is to visit byebyeboringbio.com to download the preview to my best-selling workbook that will help you say bye-bye to your boring bio, and I'll see you on the other side. Or it could be call 1-800 call Ann, we'll have a chat. Or it could be join my Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, excuse me, and I'll see you there. Excuse me. Don't make the mistake of giving multiple calls to action. Oh, David says, humor is always a great way to get a response because it makes you more human. Awesome. And someone is also typing, my website is woefully inadequate. Should I shore it up with the speaker tab and current songs before I start reaching out? I'm actually ashamed of my website. Website shame. Boy, oh boy, who among us has not felt website shame at one time or another? I am a big fan of having a lead magnet that stands alone. When you visit buyboringbio.com, for example, you'll notice that it's a simple lead page that says, do you want to download this goodie or not? And you have a choice of putting in your email address and your name or not. But that particular opt-in page converts from click to lead at 64%. That means 64% of the people that land there want it enough to actually give me the privilege of being able to send it to them. So if your website is woefully inadequate, create an irresistible lead magnet that stands alone on a lead page like the example I'm demonstrating for you here. And then you do not have to have website shame. You can just simply send people to that singular page. And oh, by the way, many of us have our free gift on our website, and many of us also have our free gift living on a standalone site like the one I just explained to you. The people at Lead Pages and all of these companies that help you create these beautiful, easy opt-in pages, they will tell you that it is like less than 2% of the people visit a website actually opt in to get anything, because there's so many choices there that they can't decide and they do nothing. That is the advantage of having a standalone lead page for your lead magnet. So moving on, you might be thinking, I can't wait to be on podcasts. I can't wait to have conversations with real people. I can't wait to have the benefit of their embedded audience listening so that I can leverage that and bring those people back into my world with my irresistible lead magnet, or more to the point, your irresistible lead magnet or call to action. Amen. I'm all over that like a cheap suit. I couldn't agree more. But I want to tell you something that might be escaping your notice. The number one biggest opportunity for magic making during a podcast interview is actually not when the interview is in progress, but it is when the microphone goes silent after the conversation has concluded and the two of you realize that you have been star-crossed lovers that finally met for the first time. It is when that host is so gobsmacked about the value that you brought and the way that you delivered the value and the massive contribution that you made to an important conversation, the speaker summit, or some other wonderful opportunity that you've only been dreaming of, that just now becomes your reality because you had the intimacy and the benefit of sharing your content in this beautiful, intimate conversation with hundreds or thousands of people voyeuring in and having the benefit of sitting on your shoulders to pay attention. It is when the microphone goes silent that you can actually create a relationship that makes this single conversation the start of a beautiful relationship and a friendship that can last over time. I am not a fan of one-night stands. I'm happily married to the love of my life for 33 years, and we keep on making the magic happen every day because we're committed to the relationship. When you are on a podcast, you're getting on first base. But when you do the podcast, and it's a brilliant podcast, one of the best things you can do is share that interview with your entire community. Repost it everywhere that you can. Do everything possible to bring more listeners or viewers back to that show, and let that host know that you're going the extra mile to support his or her success. Because what a podcast host wants is more downloads, more listeners, more subscribers. If you told your whole community that you were a guest on David Newman's show and you should go ahead and subscribe to the it's called the Speaking Show. Go ahead and you should all go to the Speaking Show and you should subscribe to David Newman's podcast. And then you should listen to the podcasts that he most recently run that are on subjects that are absolutely what you want to learn about. And then you should post a 5-star review about how awesome the show was. And you know what? When he sees that 5-star review, he's going to call you by name. He's going to be grateful for that. And then when you make your pitch about why you could be the perfect guest on his show, not only is he going to love how tight and concise and on the message you are, but he'll remember that you posted a 5-star review, and that just might set things up nicely for you to get to the front of the line. It's not all about you. It's what you can do for others that will create this energetic connection that will make the silence after the interview has concluded be your greatest possible opportunity. Isn't that a value bomb? Are you excited about that? I'm just looking over here at the comments just for a moment. I'm thinking of using my best-selling book, Argue Less, Love More, as the lead magnet, or should I use something shorter? Argue less, love more. That's a great idea. I want to share with you something that I tried that was actually quite successful and kind of surprisingly so. I wrote the Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook this year, and I debuted it in September. And while attending a Zoom call during someone's 3-day event, someone I met said, you know what, you should take the preview to that workbook and release it on the Kindle store so that people can get a taste of it without having to buy the whole book. You just might build an audience for it right away. And I thought, what the heck? Why not? So the 4th of July weekend, I figured out how to upload the preview to the Bye Bye Boring Bio workbook to the Kindle store. The next morning, I saw that it was already welcoming an audience without any effort on my part. I decided to do a solo email, do some social media, and issue a press release about it. And by the end of the day, I was #1 in 4 categories, and that was before the book was even complete. So if you have a preview to Argue Less, Love More, and you could release it as a free gift, then that could be hundreds or thousands of people that are reading the first 3 chapters and are chomping at the bit for when the finished manuscript is ready to go. And that could be a bonanza for you. So I hope you love that idea. It certainly worked out for me. And by the way, that Amazon #1 bestseller thing, I mean, you don't think it matters to you. You discount it. You figure, oh, that's for other people. But I got to tell you, when your book goes to #1, there's something that goes on in your body that's very validating. It's very fun. I highly recommend it. Okay. So when the microphone's going silent, you have the opportunity to invite that host to be a guest expert in your Facebook group, a guest expert on your YouTube show. It could be all these wonderful things that happen for you that you didn't know how great it could be. And so be aware of those moments of silence and see if there's a way to advance the relationship, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you treat every interview like a one-night stand and you just hit it and quit it, well, that probably is showing up in other ways in your life and business too. Don't hit it and quit it. Invest wisely in quality relationships that can open big doors, one right after the other, and may they be bigger and better every time. So how do you make a pitch? You do exactly it is that I'm suggesting to you. You listen to the show, you find out what's special and different about it, you imagine what it would be like for you to be on the show yourself, you come up with a specific way that you could add value to the conversation, and you ask to get invited on the show. Because if you ask for what you want, you know what? Sometimes you get what you ask for. And maybe you're like me, and you can proudly say that since March 1st of 2020, you've been on 40 shows, and now you've got all kinds of wonderful doors opening to you on much bigger stages, virtually and otherwise. And you've got that revenue rush for your products, programs, and services. That is what I really want for you. So let me ask you, of all the things that we've talked about so far, what are the actions that you are most excited to take right now, starting today? I'd love to see some of your comments. Will you be rushing to the Units tab to create your Media One sheet starting right now? Will you be making a list of the podcasts to pitch and joining those 2 Facebook groups so you can start picking the low-hanging fruit and creating a fabulous podcast publicity basket for yourself? Will you be creating an irresistible lead magnet that stands alone so that you can measure and treasure the leads that come back your way every time you speak on a podcast? And will you be setting the intention that you're going to be getting booked again and again under your own power without hiring an agency and without even having to leave your house? I'd be really curious to know, because as a result of what I've taught you so far today, you now have the power to go out and take these actions and get the results that you are so worthy of. And if you have gotten the value that you came for, I can't wait to hear the successes that you welcome when you start making these activities a well-formed habit in your life and work. And if you are excited to step over trial and error and skip ahead and get in the best pitching shape of your life as you broadcast your brilliance in community, I have an opportunity to share with you that I think will be a game changer for you, and I would love the opportunity to tell you more about it. I want you to get in the best shape of your life to pitch yourself to the right shows. I want you to master the 6P system, to prepare, to position yourself, to prioritize the right shows, to pitch, to ping pong, and ultimately to profit from your beautiful expertise. And most importantly, I want you to practice all of these skills in small community with me as your expert guide, because I know that in 6 weeks, you're going to create new neural pathways and new habits and new activities that are going to become your primary strategies to get seen, heard, celebrated, and compensated for your winning ways. I want to invite you to link arms with me as we connect in an intimate community to support and practice together, because when you do that, there's no dabbling. There's actually the spirit of competition about, well, she just got booked on 3 shows and he just got invited to do 3 summits and he just welcomed a rush of new clients into his new program. And oh my gosh, look at all these wonderful things that are happening. I want those results to happen in ever increasing amounts. And so I'd like to invite you to take a very careful look at becoming the newest member of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. The Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. Why do we call it a boot camp? Because when you go into boot camp, you are getting in the best shape of your life to accomplish magnificent things in your life that will become well-formed habits. And then you will be able to springboard to accomplish magnificent things in a way that's beyond your expectations. And it's so much better than going alone. The Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is a 6-week journey we take together. And your ultimate result is to be seen, heard, celebrated, and ultimately compensated as you speak up on the right shows, ping pong the right people back into your world, and profit in all the ways that you can, because you are ready to rock and roll. So with your permission, I want to do a little screen share, because I think it's easy for you to see and hear what the benefits and the ultimate goodies are that are waiting for you when you decide to come along. So I'm going to screen share, and I'm also going to be watching the comments, because this is my first time screen sharing during a Facebook Live, and I'm hoping that it works out. So I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to make my on the screen. Can you hear me now? Won't you please say something? Would someone say something about whether or not they can hear me now? Because I'm actually going to avoid this screen thing. I thought I'd give it a try. Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, I'm just going to avoid the slides, but I'll make the slides available afterwards. How's that? Okay, so I want you to ask your clients for testimonials, and then I want you to brace yourself for the amazing things that people actually say. Because Barb Ingracia, she's an expert in managing copyright, she said she got everything she came for, and when asked how many stars she would give her experience, not only did she give me 5, but she gave me 10. And then when I asked Maureen Curiz what she had to say about her experience, she says, working with Nancy in the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp was the best investment of time and money I made this year. She got everything she came for, and so too did Jack Ori and Joanne Williams and everyone else who was a part of it. When you're a member of my boot camp, not only am I going to be demanding that you step up to the plate to make things happen, but you're going to own a slice of my heart, because you're not going to come in and not get seen, heard, and helped. No drive-by postings. I'm going to make sure your media one sheet, your pitch, and everything that you do is so up to snuff that hosts are going to wonder where you came from and why there aren't 20 or 30 more just like you, because there's a whole lot of people out there that are pitching really poorly, and none of the people that are in my program ever show up in anything less than a world-class way. Now, there are things in our lives that we can control, and there's things that we can't. For example, we can't control when we're going to get the vaccine, or when the kids are going to go back to school, or when technology is going to take off, or the weather, or when life hits the fan, or when some platform kicks us off and we can't get back on. But there are some things that we can control, and those would be our success habits, the way that we show up and serve, how quickly we start our own Facebook group and start delivering our own magic once a week, the focus that we have on creating amazing value every time we show up, how often we create content and share it with others who have a need and a desire to know. And then, of course, there's our mindset and our intentions around everything that we do. I would like you to believe and behave as if your expertise is going to be worthy of the biggest shows on the planet. And I want you to show up like a rock star at Hello so that you can have those benefits. And when you are a member of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp, you will have the benefit of shortening your learning curve, benefiting from my uncommon ninja techniques, and shifting your thinking into powerful action, because you are one of those roll up your sleeves, get it done kind of people where anything less is simply not good enough. Why should you trust me? Because everything that I'm teaching you is something that I have done myself brilliantly to create the results that you want. And why would you not allow me to be generous in sharing all of that with you? So my question is, how much do you want it, and are you ready to go? Because I want to dare you. I want you to step up and decide that speaking up on podcasts, broadcasts, and other virtual stages is your highest priority. It's going to be your singular focus. You are not going to dabble. You're going to do this like a pro, and you're going to learn from the best. I want you to ask for your place on the bigger shows, and I want you to resist the temptation to quit, because out of 3 pitches you make, maybe 2 of them will be winners and 1 of them won't. Not every time you get to bat do you win, but the more you pitch and the more you practice, the more you land where you want to, and that is exactly how it's done. I want you to stop winging it. I want you to get ready to play big, and I want you to do it like it really counts, because it really does. And I will tell you this. It is a common and sad story that folks do this before they've named and claimed their ideal audience, or they haven't yet figured out their irresistible lead magnet or the path that they want to take to earn the cash, or that their message is lackluster or not blockbuster, or that their talks and interviews are all over the place instead of focused and clear, or that they're still complaining about not enough leads, not enough speaking gigs, not enough opportunity. I don't want you to have those feelings anymore, because the solution is well in hand, and it's called the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. I want you to join me for it. Give me 6 weeks, and you will show up like a pro. You will ask for and get the bookings that you want, and you will rock the virtual stage all the way to the bank. This includes private mentoring with me over a 6-week period of time, unparalleled access. We're going to have a live call every Wednesday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to have live office hours where I can actually workshop all of your materials, workshop anything that's giving you trouble. It's like private coaching in an intimate community. You just dial into the Zoom call and I'm there giving you the support you need and holding your feet to the fire to take action. And we're also celebrating the successes of our fellow members as they're happening so that you're inspired about what's possible for you. If you were trying to do this on your own, you just might be tempted to be dabbling, and dabbling never gets it done. During this 6-week journey that you're going to get in the best shape of your life, you're going to have accountability, action, and expert support. You will be ready for opportunity before it knocks and leapfrog others less prepared. You will get the niche guidance, the pitch guidance, and everything else you need to succeed. If you don't yet have a lead magnet or a call to action, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to suggest to you a powerful way you can create one quickly and have it start converting for you reliably, because anything less is simply not good enough. I'm going to take my years of experience as a former publicist, giving you ways to pitch your story so that it will be placed. And then if you are excited about getting some interview training tips and ninja strategies for both before and after your interviews, I have those in spades to share with you generously so they become your ninja strategies forever after. So what is included? If you haven't yet named and claimed your profitable niche audience, you're going to get powerful niche training to help you absolutely name and claim your people so that you don't waste time talking to the wrong ones. And if you want to get your 6 Ps in perfect shape, I'm going to gift you deeper training called Podcast Dream Guest Mastery that you can start consuming now so that when we meet for our first time in January, you are all ready for me to have my eyes on your messaging so that you can start pitching as soon as possible. You're going to practice the prepare, position, prioritize, pitch, ping pong, and profit. Get all that squared away during the holiday break, because how many Hallmark Hall of Fame movies can you really watch while you're sheltering in place? I mean, really. You're also going to get delivered to your doorstep your very own copy of the Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook that not only includes how to make your bio brilliant for everywhere you show up, but it also goes into detail about all those ninja strategies that I teach and has audio and video files to help you engage all your senses to realize the possibilities that you have to show up brilliantly everywhere you show up, and most importantly, open the big doors. And I have some additional things for you too. As I mentioned when we started, it's not just being on a podcast that's important to you. It's important for you to be able to structure a talk that converts when you speak to your own community or when you speak to the communities of others. Some people say, I'm a great speaker, but I don't manage to sell anything when I show up. And so if you need a signature talk delivery cheat sheet that shows you the structure that unlocks the money when you make your call to action, your wish is my command, because that is part of your Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. Not only that, but I have got step-by-step video to explain exactly how to create your signature talk. So if even you only have 20 minutes to make your point for eWomen Network, the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary, your networking group, you can not only deliver your signature talk in a winning way, but you can enroll people into whatever you're selling reliably, repeatably, and in a way that brings smiles all around. So what sets this training apart from anything you might have considered before? Well, of course, I'm leading it, and I think that's pretty special because I bring to you years as an experienced publicist, a very successful online marketer, someone who speaks regularly and often, who has mastered the podcast guest experience in such a way that I've got it nailed down so you can learn it step by step too. I'm keeping the group small. That means that I'm expecting no more than 25 students. And that's because Each one of you will own a slice of my heart. I'm going to get to know your business. I'm going to get to know what you sell, and I'm going to get to know how I can customize whatever I know to support your success. People tell me I'm a soundbite genius that turns your message into magic just like that. That means I need to narrow my focus on the top 25 people who want to play so that I can actually give you the very best that I have. You will feel seen, heard, and helped and championed too. And you will be recognized for your stellar successes, and your successes will be an example for others in the group to follow so that the rising tide lifts all the boats. I guarantee that when you do as I suggest and you show up for the calls and you ask for the help, you will get return on your investment with the first client you enroll into your premium program or the first paid speaking gig that you get. And you will be off to the races having these skills within your own control for the rest of your life. So let's assign some value to all of this for you, okay? The live mentoring in the live calls and during the 2 office hours is valued at $4,500. I have 3 anytime, anywhere workshops that you're going to be able to consume during the holiday break to name and claim your niche, get your sizzling speaker sheet done, and also prepare your client attracting message. And if you are struggling with any of those things, these anytime, anywhere videos are going to show you the way, almost as if I'm an angel on your shoulder. That is a $5,200 value. Now we're going to start on January 13th for the first action coaching call. And we're going to meet every Wednesday for 6 weeks. And the coaching calls, the action, I'm calling it office hours, Tuesdays in the morning and Thursdays in the afternoon, so we can appeal to people on both coasts. And if you're not able to join live and you're in some other time zone, you post your question, a video, whatever it is you want to in the Facebook group, and you can be assured that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm on point for you. It's not my assistant. It's not my team. It's me. I will see, hear, and celebrate you and give you the support that you need so you can proceed and succeed. I want you to take control over your destiny and have control over your upside and to believe and behave as if the best opportunities are straight ahead. Because you can stay in the get ready club and dabble, or you can do something and make this a well-formed habit. And that is what the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is all about. I want you to want your result enough to make it happen. And imagine 40 podcast guesting opportunities for you and all the wonderful things that are coming. If that was so easily within reach, why would you not jump in? And so now what I'd like to do is actually sweeten my invitation, because I think adding value and most importantly, bridging some gaps that you might be experiencing in your skill set might be really, really helpful. So I have something called the Speaking Gig Profitability Pack. And what is that? I interviewed one-on-one world-class experts on how to step-by-step create your signature talk. And when you're part of Broadcast Your Brilliance, you get to listen in step-by-step to create yours. And then I will actually help you refine it so that it pays off for you again and again. There's also an interview about mastering the high sales ticket conversation. And listen, if you can get one high ticket client to say yes to you during the next 6 weeks, then your ROI on this program is made and you're in the tall cotton very, very quickly. I've got another interview about how to make $5,000 from your first webinar, and that will be brilliant for you. And then if you don't yet have an irresistible lead magnet, I did an interview about how to create an ideal client enroller quiz. And if that is the answer that you've been looking for, you have the step-by-step instructions about how you can do that so that you don't have to say to yourself, I don't have a magnet. I don't know how to make an offer during a webinar. I don't know how to create a signature talk. I don't know how to have a high-end sales conversation. Well, when all these trainings are consumed step by step, those objections are met. And I will have been the reason, because I am all of the help and none of the hype. I will bridge every gap for you. I will become that person that you trust to guide you to the next step, because anything less is simply not good enough. And because I know that live stages are not dark forever, I also did 3 interviews with big event promoters, asking them what kind of approaches do they prefer and what kind of approaches turn them off. And while you are riding the bike and walking your dog and taking in these trainings, you will learn how you can be a standout in your approach so that when live stages are open, you get to take your place first in line. So you're probably wondering, what is your wise investment to be part of Broadcast Your Brilliance? There's one more benefit I want to tell you. I actually have 2 versions. There's the VIP version, and then there's the standard version. If you would like me to interview you on my YouTube channel so that you have a beautiful example of how brilliant you are on camera with your beautiful message and your beautiful call to action, I will interview you for my Broadcast Your Brilliance YouTube channel, and you will have that video to showcase and open doors for other people to say, yes, they want you on their program. So if you do that, the VIP option, it's a $7,800 value for everything I've talked to you about, but your wise investment is $1,997. And if you want everything, but you don't feel quite ready for prime time with that interview, the other option is to simply take that interview off the table, and it would be $1,497. That includes Podcast Dream Guest Mastery, the Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook making its way to your house, the Speaking Gig Profitability Pack that I talked to you about, and the Inside Success Secret Insights from event promoters, plus, most importantly, the live action coaching that I'm going to do once a week for 6 weeks, and the 2 sessions of office hours where you're getting that hand-holding support and messaging magic. So it is time to think about how your business will be different when you get in this brilliant shape. How will your business be better? You will own your expertise. You will have more confidence than you ever thought possible, and you will be pitching like a pro, relentlessly so, and getting booked on those shows and ping-ponging people back into your world so you can profit. You will be speaking more and earning more. And if you were feeling a little bit like an ugly duckling, you're going to become a beautiful, graceful swan who partners brilliantly with people who become part of the jewels in the crown of your life, beautiful relationships that pay off with new referrals, new opportunities, and new doors that open every single day. So I would be thrilled and honored to be the guide that shows you the way. And so if you are called to say yes to Broadcast Your Brilliance, I would love for you to visit the link you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen, getknowngetpaid.com/broadcast your brilliance, BYB, and just say yes. Say yes. And decide if you want to go VIP to have the benefit of that interview with me, or if you prefer the standard option. Either way is fine. And if you do the standard option and then you decide, oh, I really want to do that interview, we can certainly add it later. You are making a very wise investment in your success, because the first part of the year is the best part of the year to go big and decide on the strategy that you're going to speak more and earn more and do it without even leaving your house, and have that power over your upside for the rest of your life. And if you are excited to say yes right now while we're on this call, I actually have a couple fun little fast action bonuses to reward you that are also excellent examples of opportunities that came my way in unexpected ways. And I offer them to you because I just think it's so exciting. You know, I was actually delivering a webinar to 1,250 people a couple of years ago. It was the most number of people I had on a webinar ever. And I delivered like a pro from start to finish. And I was rewarded at the end when Maria Johnson said, that was a brilliant webinar. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a book called The World's Greatest Speakers, Insider Secrets on How to Engage and Move Your Audience to Action. And I want you to be I'm chapter 12, I think. Anyway, she reached out to me and invited me to be part of this book. So when you say yes to Broadcast Your Brilliance while we're live on this call, I'm going to ship a signed copy of The World's Greatest Speakers to your doorstep. And I'm also going to ship to you the Speak More Marketing Strategies to Get More Speaking Business book. And I'll tell you how I got invited to that. And this is a wonderful story. I'll try to make it quick. I did a kindness for an expert in the National Speakers Association that got him on publicity placements all across the country. And I did it because I liked him and I wanted to help him out, and I saw a wonderful opportunity. I led with a giving hand, and I supported him in a way that he would remember. Years later, I'm walking down a hotel corridor in Irvine at the National Speakers Association, and not only did he invite me to be a guest speaker at the National Speakers Association, sharing the stage with Brendan Burchard and Lisa Sasevich, but he tipped me off that the National Speakers Association was looking for chapters for their book, and why not submit a chapter? And I think there were hundreds of people that submitted a chapter, and they stripped all the chapters of their bylines and only had the chapters to stand alone. I was a brand new member of this National Speakers Association, and my chapter got selected, and that put me on the map in front of the entire National Speakers Association. The wisdom within these two books is going to be yours when you say yes to joining me in the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp, and you can get all caught up on all the brilliant strategies about speaking more and inspiring your audience into action, not just over the holiday break, but for the rest of your life, because these will be part of your business success library. And oh, by the way, your Bye Boring Bio is going to be shipping to your doorstep as well. And these are going to become dog-eared, highlighted resources that are going to change the game for you indefinitely. So if you are excited to join me in Broadcast Your Brilliance, I hope that you will say yes. And you probably have a few questions, and I'll address some of the ones that come up most often. How many people are going to be in the group? I'm expecting 25 or fewer, because I like the intimacy and the connection, and I know my clients do too. How soon can you join? You can join right now, and the deadline to join is December 9th, and that's a hard deadline. How soon can you join the Facebook group to get my eyes on your message and to start creating relationships with the other members of the group? You can join today, and I'll get you in there. And all during the holiday break, if you want me to start looking at your homework and giving you support, I'll be chiming in throughout the holiday break, because there's no rest for people that are rolling up their sleeves and getting things done, especially when the new year is dawning and there's so much upside for all of us. People ask me all the time, do you do payment plans? Do you do payment plans? And I'll tell you something. I prefer you to be all in at hello and let your bank card be your payment plan, because I want to put the majority of my focus on serving, supporting, and making sure you get the value. And this isn't my first rodeo, and I have had people in the past sign up and 20 minutes later change their mind and behave in a manner that feels misaligned. And I'm just not a fan of that. So be all in at hello. I'll be all in at hello on your behalf, and let's make some magic happen. Because remember those testimonials that people were sharing at the start of this call? That was real. I'm earning 10-star reviews from my clients. They're telling me they got more value than anything else they invested into this year. What if you were saying the same? I'm all the help, none of the hype, incredibly generous. So come behind the velvet rope and become part of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. Get in the best shape of your life to welcome those podcast guest bookings and all the other opportunities and doors that will swing wide open when you get in the best shape of your life. And I can't wait to work with you. So if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm here in the group. Oh, someone says, home run, exclamation, exclamation. No dabbling. This training is amazing. Nancy delivers such value. Yes, that's what I like. That's what I like. If you're wondering what I'm like, this is what I'm like. I am a nice lady who works harder than anybody else, who cares about others' success, perhaps more than I care about my own. And I want you to be the jewel in the crown of my life as you succeed beyond your wildest expectations, so that my legacy is alive today, because I taught you these game-changing lessons that you rolled up your sleeves to become masterful with. And I can't wait to see you shine in all the ways that you can. It has been my privilege to deliver this value for you. I can't wait to be shipping these books to your doorstep, because you're a fast action taker. if anyone, when you say yes today, December 2nd, all the way up until midnight, that is when you have the opportunity to benefit from these fast action bonuses. And I hope that you will hurry, hurry, hurry to be among the first 25 who will be part of this intimate community. And I can't wait to get started. I hope you're feeling the joy and the enthusiasm, and I will be standing by to answer your questions. And if there's anything more you need from me, you know how to reach me, and I can't wait to chat more about it. All right, that's all I have for you for today. Thanks so much.